Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Forgiven AF Podcast. This is a second chance podcast that we use as marketing material for our mentorship program. Super cool stuff with the mentorship this weekend. We had our meeting, and Eugene Lockhart, Mean Eugene, the hitting machine, came and spoke motivation to the boys. He really killed it too. He talked about, following your dreams and not letting anyone tell you that you can or can't do something. And if you fail, to get back up, man, because that's just part of life. So the kids really took that well. Then we introduced our new chaplain, which I'm excited to do, and Ryan Sandifer. He's actually the Life Missions pastor at Life Church. He came and poured into the kids and let them know, about God's love for them, and just kind of open up that avenue that if they wanted to pursue that he was there. We don't push it on the kids, but we want them to know that God loves them, and He's there waiting for whenever they're ready to kind of come that direction. And then we went into community service. We have a highway that we clean up, so we went and cleaned up that highway, and the boys, picked up a whole bunch of trash, and then last we went to Myrtle's Burgers, which is right on the border of Mansfield, Burleson area, and had the best cheeseburger, hamburgers in DFW, in my opinion. It was awesome. So it was a great meeting. Everything went good, and we're just going to keep pursuing that, and I'll keep you guys updated on all the changes. It's a secondchancementors.org if you're interested in checking out kind of what we have going on and staying up to date with what we're doing. But on to the next part of the show, and I'm really excited about this. I begged him to come, and I just got really lucky that he was on a 2-week hiatus in DFW, that he would be able to come out here and hang out with us and share some of what he's doing. But Dr. Chris Harper, I'm not sure even Dr. Pastor Chris Harper, I'm not sure how exactly how you do it, but listen to this. I actually found this. I don't know if he would introduce himself this way, but I want to read this, what I found about him. And I think that from the man I know, this is right on track. Pastor Chris, a.k.a. Harp, describes himself as an amillennial, Calvinistic, closet charismatic, credo baptistic, complementarian disciple of J.C. Ryle, who loves his wife, his 4 children, books, basketball, movies, and 90s hip-hop. King Jesus is his savior, and Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, is his hero. He believes that Jordan is better than LeBron, and nothing beats Nashville hot chicken. Chris holds a degree in political science, a certificate from Harvard, advanced degrees in social work and biblical and theological studies. He is currently finishing up his doctoral work in Christian formation, which I believe he's already got finished now.
Yeah, that's a little bit old intro.
Man, but it's so cool, man, because it just describes your personality, dude.
Yeah, it's on brand for sure.
Thank you so much for being here, man. I'm really excited to kind of dig into your brain a little bit and kind of see all the stuff that you started. So, man, thanks for being here.
Man, honored to be here and thankful. Man, I was so encouraged when I met you and found a new brother in the faith. So was super excited to be out here.
Thanks, man. It means a lot to me. I got him out here pretty much an hour away from home. And
come on.
So thanks, dude. So Chris is actually, or Dr. Harper, Chris has actually written a whole bunch of different courses. I'm going to kind of just read them off so you kind of know like where he's at with what he likes to, touch on. And some of these, the dad life, God's plan for something greater, parenting children in sports, what to do after a parenting fail, your children and friendships, teaching your children they are not the center of the universe. Man, that's good. Parenting children with cell phones and blueprint for man. So at the end of the show, I'm going to come back and pick his brain on a couple of these. Just the topics are so relevant, man. And I feel like that's what's so awesome about this program that he's developed. But Chris, can you start off and just kind of let us know where you're from and kind of where you grew up and how you grew up?
Absolutely, man. So I'm from backwoods, Kentucky, like in the holler. So if you're familiar with bourbon, which is made in Kentucky, whiskey's made in Tennessee, but I grew up at the foot of Knob Creek Hill where they make Knob Creek bourbon.
I've heard of Knob Creek.
That's it, man. So grew up in backwoods, Kentucky. Didn't really like it. It was rough, real rough. I had one sibling who died of a drug overdose. Grew up super poor, but learned a lot of good values from that. Like there's things you learn in the country that you just can't learn elsewhere, like the value of hard work, the value of being loyal, things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I couldn't wait to get out of there. So man, when I turned 18, I was fortunate to have some academic opportunities, man. So got out and kind of didn't look back. So since then, I've lived in a few different places, have done a few different things, and have been in Texas for the last 9 years. Okay. And Texas really is where my wife and I call home. It's where most of our children were born. They've been raised. And, man, we love the great state of Texas.
I know. It's a great state. I'm from Philadelphia, and I actually call this home now. I love it here, too. I'm still an Eagles fan, but
amen, brother.
Definitely home now. How did you can you give us a brief, how you came into a relationship with the Lord?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's super interesting. I was overseas doing research for the university, and I was in Eastern Europe, and I realized that poverty was relative to where you were. So I did a lot of social policy research. So poverty in Budapest looked different than poverty in Munich, and poverty in Munich looks different than poverty in Chicago. Yeah. Like, it's just relative, right? But hopelessness was not. Like, the same hopelessness I saw in people's faces everywhere I went was the same hopelessness I saw in my own face.
Man, that's good.
So when I got back to the States, I asked a buddy of mine from grad school, I said, man, where does hope come from? And he was like, bro, you should come to church with me on Wednesday night. And I was like, man, I'm really not into that. He said, I'll never forget it. He said, there's free Chick-fil-A and college girls. I said, bro, I'm in. So I tell people all the time, I went for the chicks and the chicken, and I found Jesus Christ, man. And really, he found me. I went to church and never looked back. I learned that my hopelessness was caused by the fact that I had rejected and rebelled against God. Not only did I not like God, I wanted to be God.
Oh, that's good.
So I had rejected him. I had rebelled against him. And then I learned about this cat named Jesus, man, who paid the penalty for my sin.
Yeah.
Who welcomes me back, not just into a relationship with him, but a relationship with the Father. And then when I embraced that and accepted that, man, it was hope upon hope. Like, I've got more hope. I got enough hope to last me forever now.
That's so good.
He's the king of hope, man. So my life changed. That was it.
And then, so did you know right away, like, were you all in on your walk with Jesus and you realized like you wanted to do this as a career?
Yeah. So not exactly. So I was getting ready to so I thought I was going to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So went to school, have a degree in political science, went and got a master's degree, and then, took the LSAT, was getting ready for law school, and that's when I got saved. Okay. So I really had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew at that moment that I wanted to serve him. And it was about 6 months into being saved, and I wouldn't recommend this to anyone, but 6 months into being saved, the church came to me and said, hey, we've got this sister church, and they're basically looking for an associate pastor, right? They knew I could communicate. They knew I could teach. They knew I could draw a crowd. So they're like, man, we're going to take those gifts and turn those for the kingdom. And so the first church I pastored had 6,000 members.
Wow, that's big.
It was crazy. And I had no idea what I believed. Like, I had no idea what good theology was. Wow. Like, I'm just in it. And it was an absolute train wreck. I mean, the church was not solid. The people there were, it was just different. And it hurt me because I thought like churches and church life was perfect. I thought I was going into like this place where, people floated around on clouds and everybody was nice to each other. And what I discovered is, no, man, like the church is full of broken people.
Wow. See, most people learn that in their initial, 6 month to a couple year walk with the Lord,
right?
They're just like not in a pastoral leadership position. So, yeah. I mean, that's farther to fall when you're finding that stuff out. Like, man, these people, oh, that's hard.
Yeah. It was crazy, bro. And then I also began discovering like, I'm very apostolic and I like to grow things and build things.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm not a good shepherd. Like, I don't even know if I liked people. Like, so that was a problem, right? So I was at the mega church for a couple of years, and then I planted churches on college campuses for a couple of years.
That's cool.
And then I pastored another large church in Oklahoma City for about a year. And at that point, that's when I was like, this isn't for me, man. Like I'm not a great shepherd. I just wasn't a good pastor. I didn't know how to be a pastor.
Yeah.
So I left the church in Oklahoma City, and that's 9 years ago. That's when I came to Texas. So I came to Texas to study at Dallas Theological Seminary.
Okay.
So I went there, got a master's at DTS, and then did my doctorate at Southwestern.
Okay.
And it was in that time that I got asked to be the interim teaching pastor at Grand Prairie Bible Church. So they were looking to hire a new senior pastor. They needed a guy to come in and teach and help. And Bill Eubanks was the senior pastor at the time. He was the guy retiring. So for 18 months, I got to sit under Bill. And man, I learned what a good shepherd and pastor was.
He was a good mentor.
Oh my gosh, bro. Like he showed me what it meant to pastor a church and shepherd a church. And it was there that I really learned how to be a pastor. And I'm not talking about preaching and hosting events and things of that stuff, man. I mean,
relationships.
Yeah. Entertainers can do that.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about be a shepherd, like shepherd people's souls.
Wow, that's deep.
And that's what Bill taught me, man. I'm forever grateful.
That's awesome, man. That's a good testament to that man. What's he doing now? He retired. Do you still keep in touch with him?
Oh, I see him every week, man. I'm in a football skins league with him. He owes me about $200 right now.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you said that because sometimes I feel guilty of Sunday gambling on my football tickets. You just made me feel better about that. So the reason I found you and came about you is because I'm going to this course on Wednesday nights at Lake Church, and it's called Better Man.
Yeah.
It's not, let's figure out how to even say this. It's not your regular Bible study. It's not your regular just men's group. It's freaking awesome.
Come on.
Like, it's freaking awesome.
Come on.
And the first week that I went, you weren't there. So we watched, I forget his name, the guy from the porch. Is that it?
Yeah, Jonathan Bacluda.
We watched him.
Yeah, JP.
Yeah. And he did a great job. And the first week was on like fatherhood, was like on your fathers. And like, I didn't even realize the stuff I was digging up there. God put me at the right table with the right people. And I feel like he's going to do that at any time you go to one of these programs because God's going to make sure you get what you need out of it. But it was powerful. And then I'm like, man, this is great. I can't wait to go back. And then the next week I come back and you're there.
Yeah.
And I got to meet you, and immediately your vibe was awesome, dude. I was like, dude, this dude's cool, man. Like I think we kind of have similar styles and vibes, So I really enjoyed talking to you. And then you got up there and started talking and telling a story about thinking that you were going to play college basketball, and then you were in a tournament and you got to guard who was it? Rondo.
Rajon Rondo.
And you were like, I realized that I was no longer going to make it to the next level.
Crushed me.
And that's so cool though, just to be able to be real like that. That's what's fun. But anyways, this course is so powerful, and it's about teaching men, or at least in my words, it's about teaching men how to actually be men.
Yeah.
And one of the first things you said was, like, and I just shared this with you before we started, like, I kind of felt in my life sometimes that I wasn't like a full man because I didn't know how to use tools, or I didn't have that look of a man. And you had said something like, some of the most manly men on, biblical manly men on this world could be an art teacher or a gardener, or like, I don't remember exactly, but that's kind of what stands out to me. So this, anyways, I'm just rambling now about this, but this program is awesome. What was your inspiration behind starting this program?
Yeah. So I actually inherited the program. So Better Man is an iteration of a 30-year-old men's ministry called Men's Fraternity and Authentic Manhood.
Cool.
So Better Man in 2018 iterated and became Better Man, and we geared it towards millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
So everything we write, everything we do really is to win back the hearts of millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. And I tell people all the time, Better Man isn't winning men back to the church. It's winning the church back to men.
Yeah.
It's the church that has really large scale abandoned men, and they don't do a good job of reaching men. And I don't say that to be critical of the church. I just think critically about the church. I mean, I am a pastor. I've led churches. Like, I've been guilty of this. And to your point, churches love to paint with a broad brush, right? So, 98% of all men's ministries today is throwing axes and shooting guns. And the reality is, man, like, not every man expresses himself like that. Like, wild game feeds. I got a T-shirt that says "Wild Game Fed, Spirit Led," and I keep that just to be a reminder. Like, I don't eat venison, bro.
I don't like it either.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. Closest thing I come is like a spicy chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A. I don't cut my grass. Like, my backyard's turfed. Like, that's
so funny.
Yeah, man. I don't camp. Like, I like 4-star hotels and above. Like,
I'm so the same, man.
And you feel like less of a man according to culture, and the church has bought into that culture. And then the opposite, like, I don't have a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, so then I feel like less of a man because I got Andrew Tate telling me that I need a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, bro, I don't have one of those. So we've what we're doing is we're showing the church, we're showing men, like I tell people all the time, The Rock and Kevin Hart are two different expressions of manhood.
Yeah.
But they both starred in the same movie. Think about that.
That's good.
Right? So men can express themselves differently. Now, there are certain principles that never change, and we'll talk about those in a little bit, but it's okay as a man for you to express yourself differently. One of the greatest men in the Bible is King David. Dude was a warrior. He's out there slaying giants. Most people forget that, like, when Elijah found him, he was in a field playing a harp.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything more unmasculine than sitting in a field playing a harp,
that's so
bro.
true.
But that's what he was doing. Like, he played the harp. He tended to sheep. Like, he was very gentle, man, very loving, understanding. So I hate it when I see churches and organizations divorcing, conviction and compassion from one another.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. So kind of, can you give us your definition of what is a man?
Yeah. So those 4 principles, we do these 4 principles at Betterment, and everything we write, everything we speak on, everything we produce is built around what we call the 4 W's. Super simple, super sticky. First W is a real man courageously follows God's word. And he's got to have a foundation of truth. He learns that truth and then he acts on it. Like, I meet so many men who are head smart in the Bible, like they know the Bible, but they don't act on the Bible. That's a problem.
Yeah,
like
true.
It's a waste if you're not going to act on it. So you courageously follow God's word is the first W word. Second W is a real man loves and protects and serves God's woman.
So good.
And whether that's your girlfriend, your fiance, your wife, whether that's your sister, your mom, your grandma, it doesn't matter. Like, as a man, if a woman enters into your space, like, she should feel safe.
Man, that's so good.
Whether that's getting into the car with you, whether it's being at the office with you, whether it's walking down the street with you. Like, if a woman is in your vicinity, bro, she shouldn't have to worry. She shouldn't have to be afraid, right?
Yeah. So
we love, we serve, we protect God's woman. Woman's the second W. The third W is we excel at the work God has given us. And this is huge. As a matter of fact, I've got a new study coming out in December about this topic, but there's a sacred secular divide in our world today where men feel like if I'm not a pastor, if I'm not doing something for the church, then I'm not doing something holy. Right? I can't tell you how many men come up to me, electricians or plumbers or doctors or lawyers or whatever, and they're like, man, I wish I could do what you do to serve the kingdom more. And I'm like, bro, you are serving the kingdom. Like being an electrician is serving the kingdom. You're serving people, you're making the world a better place, and you probably have an employee that you're taking care of and things of that nature. So all work is holy if it's done unto the Lord. And the church does a terrible job of making us feel like what we do on Sunday is holy and everything else is just kind of sacred. Just kind of secular and needs to happen. That's not true, man. I had an HVAC guy at my house last week. And I said, how long have you been doing this? And he said, I've been doing this for 30 years. I said, how many houses in 30 years do you think you've been in? He's like, man, I've probably been in 25,000 homes. I said, do you know that if you bring the gospel into every home you go into, you'll have more influence than any mega church pastor in this country?
That's really good, and it's so true.
Bro, it's 100% true. Yeah. So excel at the work, and then lastly, a real man betters God's world.
Yeah.
And he does this, largely through his children, through his church, and through his community. I remind men all the time of what Martin Luther said. God doesn't need your good works, but your neighbor does. Ooh. Your neighbor does, man. So we're out there doing it.
Man, that's so good, dude. I just love those 4 W's, man. I think that every time I hear that, and just hearing you say it, I even got more out of it than, I think the one that I need to really work on, just to be transparent, is the protecting God's woman one.
Yeah.
And when you were saying that, what really hit me in the head, and I like to be open with the stuff that I struggle with, is driving. Sometimes my wife will be in the car and I could tell she's nervous about my driving.
Yeah.
And when you said no woman should ever be scared in your presence,
that's it.
It really made me realize that I want to try to be something I need to do better at.
Yeah, man. And I love how transparent you are, man. And you just get down to honesty, which is good. We need more of that, man. Authenticity is the new currency today. I say it all the time, bro. We're looking for real. But I tell men, I've never met a man. So any man I've ever talked to, if I said, hey, if somebody was to break into your house tonight and assault your wife, would you stand between him and her? Like every man I've ever asked that would say yes. And then I say, I've learned over the course of my life that the dude that breaks into my house every day and that tries to assault my wife is me. Through my indifference and my passivity.
God, that's so good.
And my anger and my like honestly, I'm the guy I should have, like I'm protecting my family against most days, bro. That's real.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm actually dealing with right now. So that's so awesome, dude. Sometimes you set up a podcast like this and it ends up being a counseling session.
Come on, bro. It's
like,
the best
really.
kind.
You know what I mean?
It's
like
the best kind.
It's funny how God works. One thing that you're really big on, and I just want to touch on just so people can understand this coming from, is the importance of community.
Yeah.
Can you kind of dive into that for a second?
Absolutely. So the Surgeon General 2 months ago just announced the number one killer of men is not heart disease, it's not cancer, it's isolation and loneliness. So isolation and loneliness is a killer, bro. Men 4x suicide more than anybody else. More than women. We lead in imprisonment, we lead out in addiction, we lead out in depression. Like men are leading in every category we shouldn't be leading in. Like it's sad. And it's because we're getting more and more isolated. A lot of it has to do with technology.
Yeah.
So we thought technology would bring us closer together. It's not. Like it's causing us to be even more and more apart. There's a rise now. I was reading an article yesterday, the rise of the AI girlfriend, the artificial intelligent girlfriend. There's one AI girlfriend out there. She has a wait list of 15,000 dudes.
God, that's ridiculous.
Like not even going out on the dating scene anymore, bro. We're just gonna do it on the screen. Like
Wait on an AI girlfriend.
It's unbelievable, bro. So this lack of community is literally killing us as men, and it's something that we got to push back against.
Yeah.
I think it's been driven into our head, if we want to go faster, we have to go alone. But we forget the second half of that proverb, right? If we want to go further, we got to go together.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to call too many people out, but you do have some cats out there like David Goggins and some of these cats, which some of what they say is really good.
Yeah.
But some of it, man, it's like, yeah, it's great that you can strap on a backpack and run 200 miles, but you're going to leave a lot of people behind doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're going to get to the top of the mountain, and you're going to realize you're alone up there, and it's not going to be good for you. So I just want men to be mindful of that. Like we need each other. You and I are created in the image of God, and God is the original small group. Like God's the OG small group. God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit. They've always been in group together.
Yeah.
So you and I were made to reflect that small group. So we were made for community.
Yeah.
When we're not in community with one another, we're not reflecting God correctly. And a lot of men are dealing with that right now.
That's really good. I think another aspect, just to throw something in there, which I know I've heard you say before, is the accountability aspect. I think a lot of men are scared of that.
Yeah.
They know that if I'm getting too close to somebody, they're going to know what I have going on, and therefore might call me out on it, or I might have to change. Yeah,
absolutely. So I have something. I do a friendship inventory every year, and so I have 3 levels that I deal with people. And a lot of men have found this helpful, and I got it from Jesus, so I didn't make it up. But the first level is I'm authentic with everybody. So everybody I meet, man, I just try to be me. The greatest sin that nobody talks about today is the sin of partiality, treating people differently based upon what they wear, what they drive, where they live. You see this in the church all the time.
That's good.
I run in some pretty affluent circles.
Yeah.
And, I've been in board meetings where the wealthiest dude said a joke that wasn't funny, but everybody laughed. Like I just made a commitment years ago. I'm just gonna stop laughing if you ain't funny. like I don't care how much money you have.
That's good.
So like just be authentic with everybody. That's the first level. The second level is be vulnerable with some people. So you need to find those people you can be vulnerable with, right? You don't want to be vulnerable with everybody for 2 reasons. One is because if you are, eventually somebody will take advantage of you. Period. Right? And then 2, if you're vulnerable with everybody, you're going to be that guy that when you come around, nobody's going to want to talk to you, right? Because you're the one that's always laying your cards on the table, bro, and you don't want to be that dude.
Yeah.
So you need to be mindful, man, I'm going to be vulnerable with some people. And then my third category is intimacy, and I'm going to be intimate with just a few. Like that my ride or dies, right? Yeah. They're not going to judge me, they're always going to be for me. And that's Jesus's life. So you look at Jesus. So Jesus was authentic with everybody. Everybody you meet, he was always Jesus.
Yeah.
He was vulnerable with 9 disciples, and then he was intimate with James, John, and Peter, who, when you look at the Gospels chronologically, he spent 70% of his time with those 3 cats. And so he was intimate with a few, vulnerable with some, authentic with all.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. And that's, if you start to categorize your friendships like that,
Yeah.
bro, it does wonders for your mental health, bro.
I want to make sure I'm not the person that's vulnerable with too many people. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy, man.
Don't be that guy.
And for real, like not just the negative side of that, but I mean, some people are bad, bro. They're mean.
That's true.
Right? They will take advantage of you, bro. I mean, we've all been taken advantage of by somebody, and it hurts. It doesn't feel good.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So, other than community, what do you think are the biggest problem or some of the biggest problems that men are facing today?
Yeah. So, quite a few. You know, the biggest problem is, and what Better Man is trying to solve is, men don't have a path. They don't have a direction.
That's good.
And we always say around the office, you can't become what you can't define. So if you can't define what a pro athlete is, you can't become one.
Yep.
If you can't define what a good husband is, you can't become one. So men need a definition.
Yeah.
And once you give them a definition, once you give them a path, they can start to walk that path. What we've learned is if they don't have a definition, they do one of 2 things. They either become paralyzed and they don't move, which is what a lot of men do, or they start to create their own definition and break a lot of stuff on the way, bro.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So the number one thing men need is man, a definition of what it means to be a man, which we think we have the definition is the 4 W's.
Yeah. And I think that that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Come
right
on.
So let me see here. How can if someone's interested in joining the Better Man program or leading the Better Man program, or like how do they get to that, or how do they find that? Or
Absolutely, man. Super simple. Betterman.com. Betterman.com. Everything's on our website. You create a login. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything. There's no monthly membership. There's no licensing. You get access to everything. We have curriculum you can download and do with other men. It's all video based. Okay. You know, you're in a program now where it's at our home church, so I'm teaching it live. You know, most churches don't do that. They play the videos. Yeah. But we've got some phenomenal teachers from across the country. We got Derwin Gray, who's got a big church in North Carolina. He played for the Seattle Seahawks for years.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we got Jonathan Bacluda, who's down in Waco now. Yeah. We got Tim Lundy out in California. We got Brian Hurlbut up in Utah, man. I mean, these guys crush it.
That's awesome.
So you download the videos, you download the content. You can go through it with 3 guys. You can go through it with 300 guys. We got a church in Nashville taking 1,800 guys through it right now. It's crazy.
That's really cool.
It's crazy. So, and then on there, we also have a podcast, man. We have the Better Man podcast, which is great. It's weekly episodes. We have a YouTube show, The Hard Path with Harp, which drops every Wednesday. We have social media. We have blogs and posts. We're always writing and talking about being better men.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of content available for men that want to get to know this 100%. Better. That's awesome. Real quick, I want to go back, if it's okay with you. Actually, before I forget, like he said, all this content is free, you guys. So if there's anybody listening that feels led to pour into that, I'm sure that there's an option somewhere on the Better Man website. Is there that they can donate or give if they feel led to?
Hit that donate button, baby.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, that's how they're doing it.
That's right.
I mean, this is awesome content for free, so they got to keep that going somehow. But now I want to go back and dive into a couple of your old courses. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
There are 3 that stuck out to me that if you could just maybe give us 1 or 2 tips on each one of these that that you feel are super important. The first one is parenting children in sports. Yeah.
So that's, I mean, the greatest 2 idols in anyone's life, mine included, are my kids and my money. I mean, those are the 2 idols I deal with every day, right? Yep. So, and typically youth sports involves both, right? So, when I'm helping parents realize, how do we approach sport correctly? The first thing to remember is sports are good. Like, sports are great. You could learn adversity. You can develop mental toughness. You find community. But I'll always remind parents, the chances of your child being a professional athlete are 0.04%.
Yeah.
The chances of your child being a millionaire are 0.09%. The chances of your child getting into an Ivy League school are 0.08%. The chances of your child standing before a holy God, 100%.
That's good.
100%. So like, what are we prioritizing? Like, what are we focusing on? So sport is a great character builder. Be sure you're using it to build character and not tear down character.
That's really good.
Right. And your kid's probably not, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're not going to play for the Dallas Mavericks. They're not going to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Like, don't like lie to your children. Like, don't exaggerate that.
Yeah.
Your kid's coach. So think about this. Every time your kid doesn't play and he gets in the car and you say something negative about his coach, you're not just undermining the coach, you're actually undermining the authority system. So don't be shocked when your child grows up hating authority.
Man, that's so good.
Because every time you undermine that coach, every time you say something bad about him, every time you say that idiot should have made this decision or he should have passed the ball to you, you're not just saying the coach is stupid, you're actually undermining the authority of the system. So we wonder why so many kids grow up rebellious and don't like authority. It's because you've been showing them how to undermine it for the last 10 years.
You're literally talking to me right now.
Bro, I'm talking to everybody,
Man,
me included,
so
bro.
good, dude.
Me included, right? So I remind parents of that, and then just again, man, let's see and use sport for what it is and not pretend it's something that it's not.
That's so awesome. That was literally like, to me, I can't, stuff I'm going on with my son and his football team right now, like literally, so thank you for that. Next one, what to do after a parenting fail, like what to do after a parenting fail, which I make all the time. If you're honest with yourself, you probably do too, like
100%. So my favorite, so when somebody asks me, what is leadership? I always tell them leadership is failing at a rate people around you can absorb.
That's good.
That's what leadership is, bro. Like the dude that comes to me and he's always winning, like, bro, like I'm real weary of that dude. Like, because that's not life.
Yeah.
Like I've been around long enough to know, bro, like it ain't all W's.
Yeah. So
I get super cautious when I run into a ministry or I run into a leader where all he does is win, 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 no matter what, right? like, nah, bro, there's something ain't right.
What's really going on?
Yeah. So leadership is failing at a rate people can absorb. I say that to say, man, we're all going to fail. We're going to fail as husbands. We're going to fail as parents. We're going to fail as whatever. We're just going to fail. So two things. When you fail, one, don't internalize it. You are not defined by your failures. Awesome. You are not defined by your past, right?
Yeah.
Don't internalize it. Know that there is a second chance, man. That's what I love about your brand. That's what I love about all this. Like God is the God of not just second chances, but like 800th chances.
Yeah, so true.
So failure is not final. I remind parents of that. And then two, when you fail, just be quick to say, I'm sorry.
See, that's last week I even hit on that on the podcast. So I'm glad that's where you went.
100%.
Being able to apologize, because I want my son to be able to apologize when he messes up.
Absolutely. And the longer you wait to apologize and say you're sorry, the more you give the devil a foothold. Right? But if you do it quickly, the devil can't grab onto anything,
That's
bro.
good, yeah.
Because you're putting it out there. So just be quick to own it. We at the Better Man office, if the staff was here right now and you asked them what's a core principle at Better Man, to a person, our team would say, we own the losses and we give away the wins.
That's so good. Humility.
We own the losses and we give away the wins. Like we're always boosting each other. And then when something goes wrong, we're raising our hand and saying, my bad.
Man, that's the definition of a good leader to me.
Come on,
so
man.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then the last one, and these are all good. I'm sure we could go into all of them, but I don't want to take you too much of your time. Parenting with cell phones.
Yeah, bro. Super difficult. So, I mean, you got to think about this. Like, your children, if they have a smartphone or a device, they have access to the world, like far more access than you could ever imagine. So this is doing two things. One, the first thing, it's as a father, the device is systematically undermining your authority. Let me tell you why. It's because everybody with the smartphone is now a fact checker. And I do this all the time, bro. Like somebody will say something and I'll be like, bro, and I'll Google it and I'll be like, he ain't right.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying, bro? So like what it's doing, it's destroying implicit trust. So now, man, like you're telling your kids stuff and what they're doing is they're going to their room and they're fact checking you and it's like destroying the trust between you and them.
Wow.
Like Google knows better than dad. So that's like the first thing we got to start being mindful
Never thought of that.
100%. And it's an automatic response, right? And again, as an adult, I'll do it.
Yeah, me too.
And I'll be sitting in the meeting and somebody will say something, I'll be like, that ain't right. I'll check it. So, and what that does is consciously it begins to deteriorate the trust I have for people. So that's happening in your home if your kids have a device, bro. So you need to be mindful of that. The second thing is I tell parents, you have to monitor the device. Like, you know, kids should not be taking devices to bed with them.
Yeah, that's good.
They shouldn't be taking it. They shouldn't be alone with devices. You know, you can set up systems where you can mirror and see what they're seeing.
Yeah.
Where the text they receive or the text you receive. Like I tell parents all the time, if you're not willing to do the hard work of monitoring the device, your kid shouldn't have the device.
That's really good.
Like as a dad, you know, maybe I'd buy my kid a gun, but I wouldn't do that without training him first how to use the gun.
Yeah, and actually still being there monitoring it the entire time.
And watching him use the gun, right? A cell phone is more dangerous than a firearm.
Wow.
Period. You don't at me, don't email me. I've watched lives be destroyed through social media.
Yeah, it's true.
7-year-old kids become addicted to pornography because of TikTok. Like it is destructive. Handing a kid a smartphone is the same thing as handing them a 9mm. And you would never do that without, like you said, watching them, training them, getting them a license. Like you would never do that without doing all that back work.
Yeah.
We do it with iPads and phones all the time, bro.
That's so
like these things
guilty.
are innocence, bro.
That's so true, man.
It's
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm so glad that I had you bring that up because I think someone's going to get something really good out of that that could actually save their kid's life.
Come on, bro. 100.
It's crazy, man. So I got one more question for you that we ask everybody. This is just kind of how we end it. What piece of advice or pieces of advice would you give, little Harp, or would you, at 16 years old, or kind of just even a 16-year-old kid now, like one or two pieces of advice that you think would be really helpful?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're 16 and you don't know it all. You know, I don't care how much access you have to things. You know, I see so many young men today, they're so defensive when it comes to criticism and feedback. And because of such, man, they don't grow. You know, we grow because of the feedback and the criticism people give us. Yeah. Right. So I see so many young men and just men in general that are not receptive to that. And here's what I tell people, like I seek out criticism and feedback, but I always treat criticism and feedback like an ugly Christmas sweater. And somebody was like, what does that mean? Like every year my aunt gave me this ugly Christmas sweater. I don't even know what color it was. Right. But it always came with a receipt. Man, I didn't have to wear it. I could give it back once she left. So like when people give you criticism and feedback, like, bro, you don't have to wear it. Like when they leave, take it back. Yeah. Like all criticism and feedback comes with a receipt. But there are some things, bro, you should probably put on. Like there are some things that you should wear. Like some things people are telling you that you should probably listen to, especially if you're a young man and like 1, 2, 3, 4 people start telling you, hey, bro, you need to be mindful of this. Like you should probably pay attention to it.
That's really good.
Like if it's a random one-off, your dad telling you you're worthless and I hate you, as hurtful as that is, like you don't have to wear that stuff, man. Take that back. Use that receipt. Give it back.
That's good.
Right. But if 3 people come to you and I've got a friend that always talks about himself, bro, like he loves himself. And so finally, like we just had to come around and say, bro, like you talk about yourself too much. Nah, man, no, I don't. But then the second guy said it. And then the third guy was like, bro, you talk about yourself too much. He was like, maybe I do. You're right.
He was able to, that's really good because
that's
at 16 years old, you think you know everything.
100%.
And then you push off some good advice that could end up changing the trajectory of your life.
Changing your life, man. There's so much. I think I had a teacher my senior year try to give me finance advice that if I would have listened to at 17 years old, bro, I would be way more ahead than I am right now.
Isn't that crazy how we...
And I just dismissed it, bro. He tried to teach me this term called compound interest, bro, and I just ignored it. Dude, if I could go back 20 years.
It's crazy if you would think about it. I mean, like, what did you hear people talk about if you double your money, like double each day, how much money it ends up being and how that compound interest works.
Crazy.
And we just, at the time, we're thinking, what, $1, a couple of dollars a day? Like, that's nothing. It's pointless. But then if you look back and realize what you could have done.
Bro, and what's even worse is not only was I thinking that, but I was also judging him. I was thinking in my mind, bro, you're broke. You're a teacher. Like, why am I listening to you about, like, so bring funny. Warren Buffett in the room. Like, let me listen to him, right? And I completely dismissed him because he was a teacher. Like, what does he know about stacking racks, right? He didn't know anything. Bro.
That's good advice.
If I could go back and listen to that cat, life changer.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for doing this, dude.
It's absolutely, dude. Honored to be here. Thankful to be here, man. And love what you're doing, bro. Keep it up for sure.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. And just remember, you guys listening, that you're loved and you're forgiven, and there's nothing you can do about it. We'll see you guys next week.